What starts as routine
On
traffic
the night of
enforcement
July 28,
quickly turns into a
2023,
collection of some
the
of the most
Arkansas
dangerous
heat
police
clung to
pursuits
the
caught on
interstate
camera.
as a routine
From
traffic
interstate
stop
chases
spiraled
topping
into something far
120
more
miles per
dangerous.
hour
A
to
driver
suspects making split-second decisions with life-changing consequences. Every pursuit in this compilation shows just how fast control can disappear. As officers coordinate, react, and adapt in real time, one question remains: how far would you go to avoid a traffic stop?
later identified as DeMarcus Clark, 32, of West Memphis, wasn't interested in cooperating when police discovered issues with his vehicle and the smell of marijuana. Instead of resolving the encounter, Clark made a split-second choice, one that would ignite a high-speed pursuit across Interstate 40 and drag multiple agencies into the chaos.
Alright, I just about wrecked out. My TBI. Alright, I just about wrecked out. My TBI. My TBI.
By the time the dust settled, Clark's run was over, fatally so. The reckless speeds topping over 120 miles per hour turned the highway into a death trap for both officers and motorists. Sergeant Roberts, though shaken from the collision, was all right and able to walk away from the wreckage. Watching this unfold, it is hard not to see the tragic reminder: when desperation drives the wheel, the ending rarely offers escape. On September 4th, 2023, Trooper Brandon Truen pushed his patrol car along U.S. Highway 167 in Independence County, Arkansas. He had locked onto a speeding vehicle ahead, a gray passenger car that was moving far too fast. With sirens echoing and cloudy skies above everything about the moment, looked like another day in the life of a state trooper. But in seconds, the ordinary pursuit of a traffic violator would turn into something no training could prepare him for. The vehicle in his way was Michael Owens, a 63-year-old motorcyclist from Batesville. Owens was struck and killed in the accident, leaving his community mourning. Trooper Truen himself was hospitalized but released the next day. What began as a mission to stop reckless driving ended in devastation, proof that on the open road, danger doesn't always come from the car you are chasing. On June 29, 2023, at around 2 p.m.,
This is where pursuit tactics become critical. Troopers are already discussing positioning and possible interception points, while the suspect continues pushing triple-digit speeds through active traffic. One wrong steering input at this velocity can trigger a catastrophic rollover. Officers must constantly balance public safety against the need to stop the threat. Would you continue the pursuit here, or back off and wait for another opportunity?
deputies in Charles County, Maryland, were called to a parking lot on Acton Lane in Waldorf. Reports came in of a woman being attacked by a man during what looked like a carjacking attempt. What began as a violent encounter in a quiet lot quickly spilled out onto the streets, setting off a pursuit that would push both the suspect and law enforcement to their breaking points.
102, number 2 lane, 0 traffic. I'm direct, southbound 205, southbound 205, someone try to get 6 at 5205. Number 2 lane, speed 116. No traffic. 759, number 1 lane, 1050, 1050, 1050, 1050. The accident, 1050.
The runaway vehicle crossed into oncoming lanes and struck a trailer truck with devastating force. The suspect was killed instantly, his gamble ending in twisted steel and smoke. For deputies, it was a brutal reminder that crime doesn't just destroy lives in parking lots, it can follow you onto the highway and leave nothing but wreckage behind. At 1 a.m. on December 31, 2021, Trooper First Class Zachary Walker waited at a red light in Savannah, Georgia. As he watched traffic flow across Duren Avenue, a black Lexus ignored the signal and blew through the intersection. Walker pulled out to follow, but the Lexus didn't just speed up. It launched into a reckless flight that turned an ordinary stop into a dangerous pursuit.
1050, roll over 1050 with a pedestrian, rolled over.
The driver was identified as Jackery Rivers, who crawled from the wreckage and was swiftly taken into custody. Inside the car and on his person, troopers found over $20,000 in cash and a loaded Glock 31 with an extended magazine, a dangerous find for a man already convicted as a felon. What began as a reckless run from a traffic stop ended in shattered steel flashing lights, and a reminder that bad decisions often come full circle. On the night of July 19, 2023, a Michigan State Police trooper pulled over what looked like just another red Kia in Niles. Behind the wheel was 32-year-old Joshua Ringel of South Bend, and at first it seemed like a standard traffic stop for a busted brake lamp. But when the trooper discovered Ringel had an active warrant for assault, the tension spiked. Within moments, a routine stop twisted into a violent struggle that would spill across state lines.
Testing now, over.
Come in.
Coming up to West Madison.
Coming up to West Madison. Officer down.
Ringel's flight ended near the St. Joseph River, where he was found dead at the base of an embankment. The female passenger was released unharmed, and a trooper who crashed while giving chase survived with minor injuries. For law enforcement, it was another night of danger layered on top of routine proof that what starts with a simple traffic stop can spiral into a deadly showdown in the blink of an eye. In the early morning hours of September 30th, 2022, the streets of Atlanta were far from quiet. A Georgia State Patrol trooper spotted a white Jeep Grand Cherokee tearing onto Interstate 85, pushing speeds that had no business on city pavement. What started as reckless driving in the dark would soon unravel into one of the most chaotic and dangerous pursuits of the year. The Jeep rolled, burst into flames, and inside troopers found two men unresponsive, later identified as Broderick Dunn and Amarian Clotter. A bloody AR-15 rifle lay nearby, proof that this chase was tied to more than just bad driving. Another passenger, Montavious Lovejoy, had already been caught and was treated for a gunshot wound. This was the kind of pursuit that shows just how quickly a late-night joyride can spiral into tragedy. Maurice A. Gonzalez probably thought a newer model Jeep Wrangler would carry him anywhere he wanted to go. On September 11, 2025, he tried to make good on that belief, roaring eastbound on Interstate 40 with a counterfeit money investigation already hanging over his head. Arkansas troopers stood ready at the state line spike strips in hand, watching the pursuit rocket past before they could act. For Gonzalez, the road ahead seemed wide open, but the reality waiting down the highway was anything but.
Got the Cloverleaf going for TBI. Fire TBI, circle. Still southbound. Past Cloverleaf. Swerving in the now, trying to stop the TBI. Emergency. Simple. Go over TBI. TBI! 1316, roll over. 10-4, TBI, roll over.
By the end of it all, Gonzalez was treated for minor injuries before being booked into the Crawford County Justice Center. The Jeep was hauled away and searched, revealing meth marijuana and the tools that went with them. His charges piled high, from reckless driving to felony fleeing and drug possession, leaving one lesson carved deep into the asphalt: running only multiplies the damage, and in Arkansas, the house always wins. On April 10, 2025, a quiet afternoon in Zellwood, Florida, took an unexpected turn when Trooper C. Brinson tried to pull over a sleek white Genesis G70. At first, it looked like just another traffic stop outside a Circle K gas station. But in a heartbeat, the driver's choice flipped from routine to reckless, setting off a chain of events that would put every motorist on edge.
Across every one of these pursuits, the pattern is the same. A simple stop escalates, speeds rise, and the margin for error disappears. Some suspects ended in custody, others crashed, and several incidents ended in tragedy. For law enforcement, success isn't measured by speed. It's measured by coordination, discipline, and bringing situations to a safe conclusion whenever possible. If you enjoyed this real pursuit breakdown, hit like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more police chase analysis from around the world.
The driver, later identified as Sidney Paul Hayes, stepped out with his hands raised, but his troubles were only beginning. Inside the brown backpack he tossed away was a stash of marijuana, cocaine, cash, and drug paraphernalia, enough evidence to seal his fate. Charged with fleeing, hit-and-run, drug trafficking, and more, Hayes went from the driver's seat of a Genesis to a cell in Orange County Jail. June 3, 2024 began like any other Monday morning for drivers heading down Interstate 4 in Volusia County. But for troopers with the Florida Highway Patrol routine, went out the window the moment a Chrysler 200 refused to stop. Behind the wheel sat a 26-year-old man from Orlando, already making the kind of choice that guarantees flashing lights in the rearview mirror. From that instant forward, the chase was no longer just about speeding, it was about survival. The driver was pulled from the wreck and rushed to a hospital, his injuries undisclosed but serious enough to end his run. No charges had yet been announced, but the list of reckless choices was already long. In the end, one man's determination to dodge the law only earned him a trip to the emergency room and a guaranteed seat in front of a judge. It was mid-afternoon on August 18, 2024, when troopers got the call no one wants to hear a silver Lexus tearing down Interstate 40 like a bullet train gone off the rails. Witnesses said the driver was darting through traffic, even using the shoulder as his personal racetrack. By the time radar confirmed his speed 116 miles per hour in a 75 zone, it was clear this wasn't just a joyride. This was a disaster waiting to happen.
Eastbound or westbound? You want to set up here at 78? Yeah, Temple, what's up? 78. Temple. Yeah, 26 cars. We're approaching at 57 home with it. The exit speed 130. Light traffic. Yeah, crews aware. Come on down. Yeah, crews aware.
Ruck out, roll over, set at 1016. He's in the eastbound lane. Correction, westbound lane.
Go ahead and send fire EMS. He rolled over in the westbound lane.
Mama.
The driver, identified as Kendall Jewett, was thrown from the Lexus found 30 yards away with severe injuries that left him barely responsive. Emergency crews airlifted him to a hospital where he survived, but his freedom didn't. Marijuana paraphernalia, and a long list of charges guaranteed that when the dust settled, Jewett's reckless dash across Arkansas highways was remembered not for skill, but for chaos. On November 28, 2024, what started as a simple traffic stop in Jacksonville quickly turned into something far more dangerous. A silver Volkswagen Jetta caught the eye of Florida Highway Patrol after a botched lane change and reports of running red lights. But instead of pulling over, the driver pressed harder on the gas, turning a minor violation into a reckless gamble.
Jackson I-01. Had a witness call in that she did witness anyway. I had her name and phone number again.
Still southbound 95 Jacks. Traffic is still moderate. Passing Emerson. Jacks, you just hit a sign. You just signal for it. Just signal for it.
The driver was pulled from the smoking wreck and forced to the ground under a chorus of shouted commands. With charges likely ranging from reckless driving to felony fleeing, this ill-fated dash through Jacksonville's highways proved one thing: sometimes the fastest way to lose everything is to run from the very people trying to stop you. Just after noon on April 6, 2023, a routine patrol along Interstate 40 took a sudden turn. A trooper noticed a white Chevrolet Cruze clinging dangerously close to another vehicle and holding up traffic in the fast lane. A flick of the emergency lights should have been the end of it. Instead, it was the spark that set off a high-stakes chase.
Check Gary, where are you? You're going from 365. You're up on 365. Clear.
The driver, identified as 23-year-old Davian Richards, tried to make a run for it, but was quickly tackled with help from Mayflower police. His passenger, Paul Humphrey, was treated for minor injuries before being transported to a hospital. The real shock came when officers searched the vehicle, uncovering about 150 suspected fentanyl pills. Richards now faces trafficking charges, felony fleeing, and more. One reckless decision to avoid a traffic stop turned into a case that left no doubt running from the law is never a winning strategy. On September 8, 2023, a routine patrol in Clayton County turned into something no deputy expects from a quiet afternoon drive. A simple expired tag should have been a quick stop, a ticket, and nothing more. But the moment lights and sirens flickered on the driver, 61-year-old Rohan Daly made a choice that was about to shake up the roadways.
Clear. Passing a point, Birdie Way. Speeds are 106, no traffic. All right, vehicle 41 right here. Forty-one. Hey, get on the fucking ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Daly's high-speed gamble ended not with triumph, but with handcuffs. Deputies discovered his driver's license had already been suspended, and his car was riding on bald tires that made control nearly impossible. For a man his age, he should have known better yet. His reckless sprint through 2 counties proved that bad choices do not come with an age limit. It was the kind of move that could only be described as reckless bravado. In the early hours of June 24, 2023, a maroon Chevrolet Caprice decided red light speed limits and even headlights were optional. Trooper Jacob Bird had barely enough time to register the blur before clocking the car at over 100 miles per hour in a zone where most people are slowing for late-night lights. The driver had already written the first chapter of his night's downfall. He just did not know it yet.
1037.
What starts as a routine robbery call quickly erupts into one of the most dangerous pursuits imaginable. Armed suspects, rounds flying from moving vehicles, and officers forced to make split-second life-or-death decisions. Stay with us as this chase spirals into absolute chaos across multiple jurisdictions.
On the service road headed toward Dodge Springs. Crashed out at 65th and 30.
Get on the ground now! Get on the ground! I'm not playing with you! Get on the ground!
The driver didn't stay put for long. He bolted on foot only to find Trooper Bird closing the distance faster than any getaway plan allowed. A quick medical check confirmed he was fine, though his pride and car certainly weren't. By the end of the night, he was sitting in Pulaski County Jail with a list of charges that included felony fleeing, reckless driving, criminal mischief, and leaving the scene of a crash. Some mistakes cost money. This one cost him freedom. It was November 22, 2023, and Deputy Hutcherson thought he was just confronting shoplifters in the back lot of a Kohl's in Yulee, Florida. But standing in front of him was not just a group of thieves. It was a driver named Brichea Danielle Glover, who had already proven she was ready to cross the line. With the snap decision of slamming her car into his cruiser, she turned a simple retail theft into an all-out act of violence. By the end, Sierra Desiree Fawcett was left seriously injured, though she survived thanks to quick medical response. Glover, Antonio Williams, Jackery Haney, and the others now faced not only theft charges, but assault, drug possession, and more stacking higher than the pile of merchandise they tried to steal. It was yet another lesson in how fast greed and recklessness can turn a petty crime into a nightmare for everyone involved. This might feel like the end, but trust me, the road only gets wilder from here. Go watch the next video and see just how unpredictable these situations can get. Thanks for sticking around and be sure to subscribe for more.